So I had a driver say, help me, in regards to the FMCSA Clearinghouse and their violation in the Clearinghouse. They need help on understanding the process. I'm going to break it down today. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Jerri, and I've helped over 1,000 drivers. Well, not just me, my entire team and I have helped over 1,000 drivers get out of prohibited status. That means we've walked them through the process. We've literally held their hand throughout the entire process. Some start with us at step 1 to understand and get guidance on step 1, 2, 3, 4, and then others come to us at step 5. So if you're new here, I'm going to walk you through every single step 1. Step 1 is the very first step in the process. It's usually after you've been notified by your trucking company or received a letter in the mail that your license is going to be downgraded. In most states, you have about 30 days or 60 days before they downgrade your license to a regular driver's license, just like I have. I'm not a truck driver. So you only have just a short window of time to be able to find a SAP, go through their process, and then take your return to duty drug test so that you can get out of that prohibited status and not get your license downgraded. So I'm going to give you some tips on step 1 and what you need to be doing in that very first step. So in step 1, you have to select a SAP. So basically, you're going in the clearinghouse and you're designating a SAP. But before you do that, I need you to physically talk to the SAP, do your research, read reviews, check and see if SAP is a legitimate, real SAP, because there are SAPs that are out here that are scamming, they're taking drivers' money, they're not sending their paperwork. Some questions that you need to be asking are, what does your process look like? How much is your process? What am I gonna have to pay for you? And then do I have to pay for treatment? Am I gonna have to pay for drug tests? Get an understanding of everything that you need to be paying for with that SAP. And then a very key and important question on the back end, will you send my paperwork onward to the company that's going to do my return to duty or to my employer? And the other question, part 2 of that question, is, will you charge me for sending my paperwork? Because there are SAPs that do charge for drivers that send, give you one free paperwork to send to an employer. But let's say you get 2 employers. You got 3 employers, or that employer is supposed, of course, to send that paperwork onward. But sometimes companies go out of business. Sometimes things happen in trucking companies and they no longer exist and you have to start over, unfortunately. But that SAP needs to still be able to send that paperwork onward. So step 1, do not designate a SAP in the clearinghouse until you talk to them. Don't just go down the list and be like, oh, this is named Susie. Susie's my mom's name, so I'm just gonna pick her. No, don't do that. You need to make sure that it's a reputable SAP and that they're gonna treat you with dignity, respect, and all those things in order to select that SAP. Now, step 2 is, after you've designated the SAP, then the SAP chooses you. The SAP actually accepts you, and they will accept you as their customer. And in that same token, 2, 3, and 4, they're going to put you through an evaluation. They're going to determine your situation. They're based on the questions that you answer during that evaluation. And most SAPs do things virtually. Some will have you come into their office if you're local, but the majority of the SAPs since COVID have been able to do things virtually as authorized by the DOT. So Zoom, Teams conference, video conference, they're allowed to do that. So they're going to ask you some questions. They're going to determine your treatment plan. And so your treatment plan could be anything. It could be, I've seen some SAPs prescribe drivers treatment that's a 6-hour online course. That's an 8-hour online course. I've seen some SAPs prescribe drivers to AA meetings, to NA meetings, Narc Anonymous meetings, to actual sessions where they come in and meet with them weekly for a few weeks. I've seen even SAPs do in-person or outpatient treatment. So it just depends on your individual situation. No SAP is going to be able to just talk to you for 3 minutes and then say, this is how long it's going to take. If they're saying that, then I probably wouldn't go with them. So, and then the next thing is, once you've done whatever it is that they say that you need to do, they say you need to take this 8-hour course and pass a urine non-DOT drug test, you have to do that. And then once you do that, then they release you to the next step. The next step is that you are determined eligible for duty. That is step number 4. You'll get a date added into your clearinghouse that will say determined eligible for duty. That means you're done with the SAP. That means you're released from them. And you can then go out and move onward to the next step, which is step number 5. In step number 5, you got 2 options. You can either go out and spend your time to find a trucking job, which is ideally what I want you to do. Go find a trucking job. If right away you're not able to find a trucking job, I typically will get drivers that contact us and they will say things like, I have a company that wants to hire me. However, they don't want to do my step 5. They don't want to be the company that does step 5. They'll do step 6 for me, but they won't do step 5. Can you do the step to get us out of prohibited? And that's where we come in. We're a third party. It's actually called a consortium third party administrator. What a consortium, or CTPA, what a consortium third party administrator is an individual company that can act as your representative in the clearinghouse. And so here's our process and what we do. We will get you to fill out a form. That form gives us permission to be your representative in the clearinghouse. It gives us permission to work with your substance abuse professional to get your paperwork. Paperwork changes hands. It's kind of a release of information that you're giving us to act on your behalf. Because your clearinghouse, and always remember this, your clearinghouse is exactly like your credit report or your employment report. No one can look at these things without your permission. So if you got people out there looking at your clearinghouse and you didn't give them permission, you can dispute that. You can file against them because that is protected private information. So you fill out the form, you give us permission, we reach out to your substance abuse professional, and we will get a copy of your completion paperwork and your follow-up testing plan. Once we review your completion paperwork, it tells us exactly what type of test we need to do as your representative in order for you to get the green light to go back to work. So most SAPs will require that you do a urine return to duty drug test. That urine is observed. Observed means a person of the same sex is going to be in the restroom with you, making sure that that specimen goes from your body into the cup. So once we get the results from that, typically takes about 3 to 5 business days, then we upload the results. Now, there are some substance abuse professionals that require that you not only take a urine return to duty drug test, but some require that you take a urine and an alcohol breath test. So the breath test, you do have to go into the lab, you breathe into the machine, the breath alcohol testing machine, and then we get the results. And so once we have the results of the urine drug screen and the results of the breath alcohol test, if it was required, we will then go and upload this information into the clearinghouse. Now, we keep the records on file for a period of 5 years. However, what the clearinghouse requires, and a lot of drivers get it all twisted and think that the clearinghouse is holding their results and things like that. No, the clearinghouse wants, when we're putting that check mark in step 5, the clearinghouse asks for the date that you took the test and the date that the negative results came back or positive. You better be negative if you're working with me, right? And so that is the process for step 5. You'll get a notification from our team that you are, congratulations, you're no longer prohibited in the clearinghouse. Your clearinghouse has been updated. After that, an electronic notification will go from the clearinghouse to the Department of Motor Vehicles, the driver's license people. They'll get a notification that you're clear, you're negative, you're no longer prohibited, and then your license either will be automatically reinstated, or I always tell drivers to go call down there, check, because some states like North Carolina, like Florida, will require that you pay a reinstatement fee. North Carolina even requires that you surrender your license if you're not going to get it activated, reinstated before the deadline date that they give you. So every state is different. So that is step number 5. In step number 6, what we do is we have you fill out, once you got your trucking job, step 6 is the follow-up testing phase. Once you got your trucking job, what we do is we have you fill out a form. In this form, you're giving us the name of your company, their DOT number, You're giving us the contact person, their contact information. We're verifying that it is a real trucking company. We're verifying with person who we're going to be sending the paperwork over that you are actually hired there before we send that paperwork over. Once we do all of that, we send over your follow-up testing plan. Make sure you check out some of my videos about the follow-up testing plan and steps and what you need to be doing in step 6 to make sure you don't have to start all the way over after you've done a few of those tests. If you're needing help with this process, if you have questions, website www.getoutofprohibited.com, or you can call me directly. I don't mind. If not talking to another driver or in a meeting, I would love to be able to answer your questions. My name is Jerri. I look forward to helping you.